Hey everybody, Atomic Readings here, reading SCP-004. Now, before you ask, I am doing something different. I'm going to show this one solitary picture of the SCP because, well, this is a readings channel. I might go back and redo the other ones later, but that's for in the future. Anyways, as I was saying, today we're looking at SCP-004, the 12 rusty keys in the door. That rhymes. Anyways, this is a Euclid class object, and there's not much to worry about, but as you can see from the picture, there is a little bit of blood involved. So if you're squeamish about that, maybe click off this video and try another time. Alright, now, let's get into the reading of SCP-004. Item, SCP-004. Object class, Euclid. Special containment procedures. When handling items SCP-004-2 through SCP-004-13, proper procedure is vital. The items are not permitted to be moved off-site unless accompanied by 2 Level 4 security personnel. Under no circumstances should any other component of SCP-004 be taken through SCP-004-1. The effects of doing so are as of yet unknown, and the current cost of experimentation makes further research impractical. Should any of the objects contained within SCP-004-1 breach containment, or the facility be breached, the keys must be brought inside and the door closed prior to the activation of Site-62's on-site warhead. Unauthorized removal of keys from the testing area is grounds for immediate termination. Level 1 clearance is required for basic access to SCP-004-1, and Level 4 clearance is required for the use of SCP-004-2 to 13. Description: SCP-004 consists of an old wooden barn door, SCP-004-1, and a set of 12 rusted steel keys, SCP-004-2 through SCP-004-13. The door itself is an entrance to an abandoned factory and data expunged. Chronological history: 07/02/1949. A group of 3 juveniles trespassing on federal property near blank find the door. According to their testimony, they found a set of rusted keys in an iron lockbox and determined what door the keys unlock. The juveniles are taken into custody, and after they contact Sheriff Blank, when one of their friends, SCP-004-CAS-01, goes missing. 07/03/1949. Local authorities find the severed right hand of SCP-004-CAS-01, 8 kilometers from SCP-004-1. Other parts of SCP-004-CAS-01's body are found scattered as far as 32 kilometers from the factory. Under investigation, the apprehended juveniles tell authorities that... My apologies. The apprehended juveniles tell authorities that upon entering the door pulling the keys, SCP-004-CAS-01 was torn into several pieces, which each disappeared. At this point, the SCP Foundation took over the investigation. 07/04/1949. SCP Agent Blank obtains the keys from the local authorities to begin testing. Tests show that SCP-004-2 through SCP-004-13, all fit into a single lock on the large barrel door. Barred door. Ugh. Sorry, English apparently isn't my strong suit. Anyways, 12 D-Class personnel are assigned to test the effects of the door. Of the 12 test subjects, each trying a different key to enter the room, only 2 survive. Opening the door with any key except SCP-004-7 or SCP-004-12 caused the test subjects to be torn apart in multiple directions. However, no dismembered parts were found until later. At the time of writing, only 2 parts of each subject have been recovered, with the exception of those using SCP-004-blank, whose pieces were scattered in close proximity. The others have, for all intents and purposes, vanished from existence. Of the 2 surviving subjects, only one, which had used SCP-004-7, returned unharmed. The other came back in a near catatonic state, only able to remove himself from the room and then collapse on the floor. He had to be restrained to prevent him from gouging out his eyes. See Appendix A, Mental Health Effects of SCP-004, which we will do later. The subject using SCP-004-7 said he had entered a large room, impossibly big for the size of the attached building. After his exit, SCP-004-1 was propped open, and an armed squad of Level 3 personnel entered. The size of the room is impossible to measure, and only the door frame and the individuals in the room are only part of the room that can be felt or illuminated. That was written so weirdly. I am so sorry. Okay. 07-16-1949. The juvenile suspects and Sheriff Blank are terminated. 08-02-1949. Blank is declared a hazardous area due to unexploded ordnance, and fences are erected in order to prevent civilian ingress. Tests to determine the safety of exposure to environment behind SCP-004-1 begin. 12-01-1950. Spacetime anomalies resulting from exposure to SCP-004 are confirmed. Testing is suspended until further notice. 07-02-19 blank. The unaccounted for remains of SCP-004-CAS-01 appear unexpectedly outside of SCP-004-1. Despite being killed decades before, the remains of SCP-004-CAS-01 are not decomposed in any manner and are still warm to the touch. Blood remains uncoagulated, and the remains are remanded for testing. The unaccounted for remains of one of the 12 original test subjects appeared in a similar manner to those of SCP-004-CAS-01. The remains have been designated SCP-004-CAS-02. Records suggest that both CAS-01 and 02 used SCP-004-blank. 03-21-1999. With the massive proliferation of nuclear weapons and World War III only blank years away, construction has begun on a site inside SCP-004-1. The site is to stock supplies for blank person days. SCP-04-21-1999. Blank has ordered the site inside SCP-004-1 to be expanded to include an emergency storage for all mobile SCP blank specimens and a blank petabyte database for the storage of all SCP data. The facility is now referred to as Site 62. 09-25-2000. Site 62 is operational. Labs and containment units are complete and can contain the most dangerous specimens. Backup of the SCP database has begun. 01-25-2001. Due to time anomalies, see Spacetime anomalies below, all personnel working at Site 62 are now required to reside on site permanently. Families of personnel are to be informed that the loved ones perished in an industrial accident. Clone bodies have been repaired for the funeral. 08-14-2003. Massive power outage across northeast United States and through Canada due to the initial failure of multiple SCP generators. Site 62 was without power for 53 minutes, and during those 53 minutes, those on site were completely without any source of light. They reported sensing creatures and people, although no abnormal entities could be seen or felt. Selected facility personnel were allowed to read Appendix A, and said that the creatures sensed were of humanoid size, but otherwise similar to the massive green creature described. Spacetime anomalies. SCP-004 appears to propagate spatiotemporal anomalies. There we go. Personnel leaving the facility report losing time. Those who have been in the facility for weeks insist they had only been in the facility for several days, and records of work completed and supplies consumed support their claims. Other temporal anomalies involve SCP-004-2 through -13, especially the reappearance of 004-CAS-01 and CAS-02. Exactly blank years after using SCP-004-blank. Blank has been assigned to investigate all aspects of these time anomalies. Spatial anomalies include the impossibly large dimensions of the area opened by 004-7. Similarly, the 2003 blackout incident. suggests that there exists an alternate plane of existence within the same space that Site-62 occupies. Additional notes. Testing on SCP-004 reveals that 10 of the keys open SCP-004-1 on a dimension where the laws of physics and topology are significantly different than those of our home dimension. Test subjects meeting these hostile conditions are torn apart, their body parts disposited on various locations, only 3 of which have been verified to be on Earth. Material deposited at 2 of 3 points appears immediately. Material deposited at the 3rd appears exactly blank years into the future. The other 7 locations are currently unknown. Current testing focuses on the 2 avenues of research. The first is finding ways to survive SCP-004's hostile topologies, and the second, data expunged, suggests that 004-2 through 13 may open doors other than 004-1. Appendix A. Mental health effects of SCP-004-12. All Class D personnel using 004-12 return in a catatonic state, unable to speak. Some may have enough energy left to try to claw out their eyes. Of the 16 subjects, only 4 have survived. One of them has regained speech following long-term psychotherapy. He was able to tell the psychiatrist that he saw a massive green creature so large that much of its body extended beyond his field of view. He reported innate fear and sudden recognition as if it were buried deep in his primal fears, and forced implementation of incomprehensible memories. Subject displays acute anterograde and retrograde amnesia. Appendix B. Additional information. Item SCP-004-14. Date of discovery 09-02-1950. Origin of object. Object was discovered elsewhere in factory area in the previously undiscovered manager's office. Description. The object appears as a large, unvarnished wooden box. The box may be unlocked by the safe key, SCP-004-7, as well as 5 of the unsafe keys. See document 004-1. Upon unlocking 004-14 with SCP-004-7, the box opens automatically on hinges. The volume of the space inside is precisely 5 times greater than the outer dimensions imply. Items placed within, while the lid remains open, do not affect the weight or any other properties of the box. When the lid is closed and locked, however, all items inside vanish irrevertibly. Personnel locked inside the box are also irrevertible, although losing personnel in this faction appears to affect significantly the dreams experienced by data expunged. Well, that was a train wreck. I am sincerely sorry for the many flubs I've had during this episode. I've been feeling kind of odd, so I will be checking that out before 005 reading. But, anyways, that has been SCP-004, the 12 rusty keys in the door. Rhymes. Anyways, please give this video a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. It would help me out a ton. I would like to give a sincere thanks to everybody who has watched up until this point. You guys are awesome. Alright, well, this has been Atomic Readings. I don't really have anything else to do, so I'll end this video. Thank you so very much, and I shall see you on the flip side.